So I've been out here since about 1 o'clock. Surprisingly calm. As you can see, basically we got I guess you say it's a Black Lives Matter. I don't know who organized the event, but they're kind of marching around from one side of the BOK Center to the other. But it's been relatively calm. I definitely saw some people kind of getting into it at this little area that was kind of designated as like a rallying point as we waited for the doors to actually be open. But Bluetooth was on, I don't know if you hear me. There was definitely some. Oh my God, there was definitely some people kind of getting into it in this little rallying area. But that was it, man. Like, that was it. So I initially started my other video off by saying this morning I woke up and I saw a picture. I don't know which news outlet it was, but there is definitely a news outlet picture, CNN.com or one of these .coms, where you see a sea of red. All of these people sitting in the middle of the streets in lawn chairs, and it just looks like this big red out. Everyone's there for this Trump rally, and they've been waiting for all night. I arrived here at 1 o'clock. I was terrified that I wasn't even going to be able to make it into the city. Cruised right in, found a parking spot. I mean, the parking spot was kind of far, but this to me, college football game, nothing more crazy. You know, definitely sometimes where people, like I said, they got into it, but it's been relatively peaceful. You know what I mean? For a protest, for the moment that we're in right now, I would call this successful. The real loss is for President Trump, who I was just looking at some of the coverage from inside because I had to go inside my car to take a break. I was looking at the actual coverage, and that arena is definitely not full. I don't know what they're going to show you on TV, but I have a friend who's actually there, and maybe it's just because of social distancing they didn't want to fill the place up, but it's definitely not full. And they had designated Trump is that. Yeah, they had designated two different arenas. I think this was, I could be wrong, I'm not from Tulsa, but I think this was supposed to be the overflow building, and then there was another building, which is like two basic basketball arenas that they had set up. Like one that holds 22,000, I think, and one that holds 15 or 16,000. I doubt they needed all that. I don't know if, I see some state troopers out here. I see some heavy duty looking artillery. I don't know. It could be the National Guard. I'm not sure who these people are. They all their vests just say trooper. There's definitely some people out here. They're making a show, but I mean, I'm here to show you that it's not crazy. This is definitely not crazier than any of the riots that you saw happening across the country anywhere, including Oklahoma City. Trump says the stupidest that actually makes people. The one thing that we're going to get from the Trump presidency that will never go away is the idea of fake news. I'm not a Trump fan, okay? Don't get it twisted. I try to be an objective person. He gets 84% of things wrong, but every once in a while he does say some things right. And fake news is definitely one of those things. Like, they just straight up lie, man. Like, they straight up lie. There's no reason that I should be, 80 miles away thinking that this event is going to have 100,000 people when there's definitely about 40,000 people. Trump is entertainment. He's a marketer. Yeah, he does that well. He's selling a lot of merch, man. I'm definitely, there is a lot of black people out here selling merch. I'll tell you that. A lot. It was probably 50-50. I'm not even going to lie. I saw no Latinos selling merch, but I saw a lot of black people selling merch. Well, yeah, it's just calm, man. I'm well. I'm definitely well. I've been out here. I've been talking to people. I think a lot of people just had a different idea of what this event was going to be. They thought it was going to be this really racially sensitive, charged event, obviously because this originally was scheduled for yesterday, which was Juneteenth. But that was it. Just typical Trump does something stupid, apologizes or doesn't even apologize. He just, pretends it didn't happen. We move on, and that's it, man. There's real substantive things that we should be talking about. Honestly, that's more where I stand. It's not that I support him or anything like that. It's more, let's get down to business. So I don't want to sit here and waste time having these types of events. Like, to me, a counter protest is stupid. That's like going to a basketball game and cheering for the away team. Just, just throw your own event. Don't go to somebody else's event and boo. He loves it when Fox fawns over him, but when he shows the pools, he's up his up. Hey, for sure. But yeah, I don't know if you guys can even see, but across the street, you see these are troopers, all these people over here. They all got the big semi-automatic rifles. They got vests on. But there's no violence. I saw one woman get pushed. I saw some yelling. But that's it, man. It's calm. And like I said, you can see this is the entirety of the big Black Lives Matter protesters. So they're all over here. They're gonna leave here in a minute. They're gonna walk all the way back around the other side of the building. But as you can see from where they came from, there's nothing. It's regular traffic. The roads are not shut down. They're not blocking anything. That's it, man. It's a calm event. So let's talk about business. Right? Let's not waste our time talking about rallies. You know what I mean? Like, this is where Joe Biden should be doing something. The reality in all of this is that we forget that Joe Biden is even running for president because he's such an embarrassing candidate. That was the interesting thing that came up in the conversation. Like, every time I would mention Joe Biden, everybody would laugh at him. Like, the counter protesters, the Trump supporters, everyone was just laughing at Joe Biden. He's a joke. This one lady said, I think he hid his Easter eggs. He went missing in April. I think he hid his Easter eggs in April and he can't find them. So, and she's a Black Lives Matter supporter. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I told you guys at the beginning of this, I thought that Trump was in for a landslide. That was before all of this happened. Polls say, I don't even know. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I don't even know what the polls say exactly because I see different things different days. I think the polls say that he's looking favorable, but well, you ain't black. What? Are they walking back? Oh shit! Now they're behind me. So they're behind me. Biden is absent. Yeah, Biden's a joke. So that's the problem. You know what I mean? We got nobody to run against him. So despite the fact that he's messing everything up, what's the option? You know what I mean? Mentally and physically. Yeah, man. We know Biden's a joke. Best thing Joe can do is keep hiding. The problem is, at one point he's going to have to come out from hiding. And we don't know that he can give us 5 good minutes. I don't know that he can impress me. Well, not even 5 minutes. He needs to impress for an hour. He needs an hour. Can he give us an hour? No. No, he can't give us an hour. So whenever they do have their showdown, he will be embarrassed. People will be unmotivated. And that'll be it. Black Lives Matter was compromised from the inception. Great division, boys. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I care about substance. You know what I mean? Like, even all that, that's cool. But what is the issue? Because is there an issue, or we just like I don't want to march. I remember saying that because of coronavirus, that all of our opportunities as far as the Humanity First movement were going to be wasted if people don't take to the streets. And that seemed crazy. Everyone was looking at me like, why are you telling people to go to the streets? Aaron, that seems irresponsible. Well, then what happened? Then people who were even more motivated to go to the streets did. And they might not get the change that they deserve, but something's going to change. But that's it. You got to be willing to actually go out when it's a risk. Like, there has to be a risk. If you're not willing to risk anything, then you're not going to gain anything. Neither has policies to move forward. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Big issues are Dakota pipeline that is harming Native American reservations. I'll read up on it. The commie plan to bring down America from within. Are they close to me? They're kind of close, not really close. Now's the time to mobilize, man. But instead of mobilizing here, we need to be on the doorsteps of Congress. Like, we need to be trying to get legislation done. This guy's not... You're not going to convince a Trump supporter to be like, you know what? I never thought about it like that way. Let me go ahead and train my mind to... Like what? You need to go to the people who have power.
Okay, I'll text him.
A lot of merch being sold. People also search Professor Tony Martin. And that is something Trump has been doing to the environment, as harming natives for the benefit of rich oil companies. Well, see, I heard Sagar, Sagar and Jetty from The Hill. I was actually on the way up here listening to him talk about, he was talking about why major corporations are supporting Black Lives Matter. And it's because this division keeps people from talking about, the policies, the profit motivations that keep things from changing. So the reality is, one, everything is connected, right? We all know it. Everything is connected, you know what I mean? So that's a problem. So if there's not some entire structural, like, reformation, some change, like, even when you talk about defund the police, that's such a, like that, I understand that is a very complicated issue, but there's so much that goes into something like that. But it just affects everything. Like, everything that we do affects everything that we do. And it's why it's so difficult to change something. Like, it's so hard to change the system. 2030 now. Catches. We can't go full conspiracy. I can't go there with you. I told you. There's nothing we can do about it. 2 dead bodies inside the chest. Really? Two dead bodies inside a chest. From what? From COVID, or they haven't said, or they don't? I'm curious. I'll have to look into it. Oh, they were shot. Jesus. Yeah, man. And then I was looking at I was looking at the guy in Atlanta, and it's starting to happen again, where they're starting to conflate issues. You know what I mean? This was the whole, who was it? Mike Brown and there was two. When Mike Brown got killed, there was someone else who got killed, and everyone was going in saying, I think it was when not Tamir Rice, it was when, not Trayvon, what the hell's the kid's name? It was Mike Brown and, oh, damn it, I can't remember which one. I literally just had this conversation yesterday, but they're conflating all of these issues. You got George Floyd, what's his name? George Floyd? You got George Floyd, and then you got, what's the other guy's name? Ray something? The other guy in Atlanta, and they're trying to conflate them. They're not the same thing. You know, the guy, he had a peaceful stop, and then it started out normal. And yes, the police officer was wrong. Apparently, he didn't follow guidelines regarding discharging his rep weapon when someone's running away. But then they showed the full tape, and then you see that he had fired the taser backwards. And then they're trying to say, well, it had been fired twice, so he should know there's not lethal. And it's just like, if we would, instead of rallying behind these individual things. If we would focus on saying, okay, we want to change X policy, and that happened, and what if, and all. Let's not do that. Let's just say we want to come to some of the rules. We're going to have non-lethal force being issued to police officers from now on. Boom. That's all we're going to talk about. We don't need to talk about how Steve got shot and how Billy got shot. Like, no. I don't want to do that. Let's find the issue. Let's address the issue. Because it's so easy for somebody. Oh, look, we found the videotape. We looked into his past. We found out that he had aggravated assault when he was 17, and therefore, like, no, I don't. We know there's problems, and we know problems are going to exist regardless. So instead of trying to find the sifting through the details, let's just address the problem. Like, it's so much easier if we all rally together to solve a problem than do this. How about run across a hardened criminal? Exactly. But then people are gonna say, "Oh, well, you didn't know that he was a hardened criminal. Maybe you didn't know. And did you actually run his records at that particular moment? Or how do you know? And there was a dispute on the file." It just, I just don't like that kind of stuff because I see how it always falls apart. Like, there was a time in the 50s and 60s and something like that where, they would identify an issue, people would go, they'd vote on it, and they would get things done. Now, in the information age where people want to go and look into the person's social media past and look at all the details and everyone has an opinion, it's hard. It's hard to change things. And when you have a moment where everyone, or at least the majority of America agrees on something, you got to move because it's going to change again quickly. Once people have a reason to change, they're going to change their minds and they're going to go back the other way, and then nothing will be able to get done. Like getting semi-automatic rifles out of the hands of police, or grenade launchers, or tanks, or whatever. Like, some of this stuff is easy to do. Even conservatives don't want the police to have these types of weapons. So that's easy change. Like, that's something we can all get behind. Also trained in Israel. Training definitely needs to be looked at. Whatever happened to cops living in a known. Exactly. And then when you talk about defund the police, like I said, this is such a big issue. I don't want to act like I'm talking about the defunding the police, but when you talk about defunding the police, we need the police. You know what I mean? Like, sadly, that there's always going to be that percentage of things that are going to go wrong. And the problem is that no matter all these conversations, we're not talking about who is actually looking at the police when something does go wrong. That's the issue. The issue is that when police do something wrong, there is not an independent body or a citizen body looking at them to say, hey, I think something went wrong here. Instead, we have cops investigating cops and them collecting pensions, and they keep on moving on. That's the problem. That we can change. It's horrible rhetoric. Agreed. Didn't we have the same conversation when we were with Andrew Yang when I said that he shouldn't be saying Medicare for all? Like, look, change the words. Change the words. Like, I understand that, people should be smart enough to do the research, but I also know that people don't. So let's just change the words. Okay, reform the police. I'm fine with the word reform the police. I'm fine with it. I don't care what you call it. I want something to be done. I have a video that I shot. It was a live stream I did very early on, and I kind of want to release it now because someone had asked me, and I have to find it. Someone had asked me what was my fear with my son, or what was my fear or something. Or I think it was my fear of my child, and I told him it was that my child would be misunderstood. And all of these things now that are happening are the exact thing that I mean. Like, it's a misunderstanding. It's not that you got to be perfect, man. Like, you got to be perfect, because it only takes one mistake for someone to misinterpret what you're doing or misunderstand you, and you end up dead. And you know what? That guy in Atlanta, those officers are probably going to end up doing some time. Honestly, they were charged with murder, or at least the one guy was charged with murder. And because of the public outcry, he probably will be found guilty. But the actual circumstances of it, I don't know. I mean, based on the tape, But again, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. There are BLM protests at one of the entrances. They had to get pushed back from the gate and couldn't leave. Yeah, I saw that, but it wasn't. I was over there. they weren't physically pushing the crowd back. They were just telling people to go back. There's no violence. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna tell you the truth because I know that. I even heard one of the news ladies. She was like pissed off. She was like, "Oh, I was over by the whatever they call the Welcome Center or something. Where there was supposed to be 100,000 people. There was like 30." And they were like 30,000. She's like, "No, like 30 people." He removed the guy first. We can no longer judge anything just by video. We can't. We can't. And the crazy thing is for me now, I literally look at it by how the narrative comes out. When the narrative, I listen to the narrative. If the narrative is, if you can fit the narrative into 4 words, I'm already skeptical. If you say unarmed black teen, I'm skeptical, which is crazy. And it's not because police don't do anything wrong or because these things don't actually happen. It's because the media is distorting everything and it makes everything seem untrustworthy. You should be watching. He's killing it right now at the rally. I'm gonna watch it on the way back. Yeah, feel free to turn over, check it out. I mean, I'm sure. They're not even playing it out here, which is crazy. But I was gonna go, I have a ticket, but I was just like, I'm not gonna go in there. Or is that the rally? Is somebody playing the rally now? Oh, they are playing it now. They literally just cut it on. But yeah, this is just my my second check-in. Like I said, it's pretty calm. People were worried about what was going to happen later at night. I saw the news people leaving. Obviously, they're local. They can just come back out if something goes on. But I honestly don't expect anything to happen. No, I don't live in Tulsa. I live in Oklahoma City. So when I leave, I'm leaving. But what I might do is head out of here and grab something to eat. And if I hear things are crazy, I'll come back out. Yeah, see, this all you're seeing is this is just intimidation. You see the Humvee? It's just intimidation, man. They're not. There's no resistance. They're just coming out here and they're showing force. It's different in each town. We need to know or understand our rights and proper procedures in interacting with police. There should be a standard. Yeah, man, this is America. People travel from state to state all the time. It's not that big of a deal. When they get the CGA down to falsely convict. Oh, man. Have I talked to any police? I've talked to a lot of police today. I mean, we're not talking issues or anything, but there comes Melvin. He says, "What do you have against law and order?" What? Come on, Melvin, pay attention. Hit the rewind button. I've not said anything about being against law and order. That shooting in Atlanta could have been avoided if the cop just told the guy in the parked the car on the spot, let him know that he wouldn't go to jail if he parked his car. I mean, Chris, I'm not going. That's too much, man. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. And even I've heard they had an interview with I don't know where this lady is. Maybe she's from Minnesota or Virginia. She was a police officer. She got fired because she intervened in another police officer. What was he doing? It was another police officer. He was like choking out a suspect or something like that. She intervened and she was fired because they said that she put the officer in danger. And she came on and they were like, well, if he had me, then I would have been there to protect him. And I get it. I totally get it. But I was not expecting that interaction when I saw the initial video. When I saw the video of guy running down the street getting shot, wasn't expecting a 30-minute calm conversation between the officer and that dude. And it was really crazy because I was like, I think it was like a Saturday morning I was watching it, and the video is probably 28 minutes or say. And I'm 26 minutes in and I'm like, wait, this guy's gonna get shot at the end of this? Because I don't see it. Like, it was crazy. But then the moment happened and all of a sudden it's out of control and dude's getting shot. What do you think about Yang McCraven and the Dark House duo? I know nothing of it. I'm sorry. I never saw them frisk Rashard. Maybe. I ain't gonna lie. I fast forwarded through the tape. I mean, because like I said, there was a lot of conversation. I was expecting this to be like a 6-minute video. And when I saw that it was 30 minutes, I was like, how? And then I would fast forward a couple of minutes and they were just calmly talking and he was explaining his story. And, you know, he sounded like a drunk person or a high person or whatever. But, you know, you just don't know what someone's going to do. But like I said, the officer still violated whatever the rules are regarding shooting people and all of that. And he should have known, allegedly, that the taser had been fired twice and therefore it posed no threat or whatever. Like, I hear you with all that. I'm just saying that's a situation I would never want to find myself in. That's a tough job, man. Yang and McCraven could fix country. Who shoots a man in the back? Man, you know what's crazy? I actually just shot a music video for somebody the other day, and I had to pull up a bunch of that footage. And it was just unbelievable how many tapes there are of people being shot in the back. I was like, damn. And then it was crazy thinking about how many of them I knew offhand. Like, I watched the Walter Scott tape and I was just like, damn, that's crazy. They just be shooting people in the back. Would you take a shot if a guy stole your partner's weapon and shot it? That's what I'm saying, man. Would I? No, I would never be a cop, so I'm not going to say what I would do. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about split seconds. I would never say that somebody is wrong or is not wrong. All I want is for the police not to investigate the police, because that obviously is an unfair system. What happened to the warning shot near? Yo, I hear you. I don't think they should have guns. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they should have bullets. They shouldn't have live ammunition. But at the same time, then you say, well, you're putting yourself at risk when you go out there and you don't know what the situation is actually going to be. So I see it from all sides. My main thing, first step, let's not have the cops investigating the cops. Let's solve that first. All right? I can't, President Aaron can't solve all problems on day one. But I know that if there is a way to make this more fair, at least let's make it so if you do make that mistake, which mistakes are still going to happen regardless, you should not be getting investigated by your homeboy, some guy you went to lunch with last week. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like, but I'm not gonna say that's not the same thing as George Floyd. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to conflate all of these things together. Cops killing people, that's such a broad issue because there's a lot of different ways cops kill people. You know what I mean? We got Amber Geiger breaking into or going into what she thought was her apartment and shooting an innocent man. You know what I mean? It's like, and only gets 10 years. So there's no way I break into somebody's house, or I don't know, can I get 10 years? What would I get 10 years for? Hitting a drunk pedestrian, maybe I get 10 years for that. But definitely not walking into the wrong house and shooting somebody. No, I'm not getting 10 years for that. Me as a citizen is not getting 10 years for that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to fix that, and from there we can go on, and we can. There's a lot of stuff to change, man. I bounced a tough bar for 2 years and never even had to go on hands with anyone.